This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
First at 11, thousands of people are still in the dark at this hour after storms caused power outages across central Indiana. Good evening to you. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. But as you can see from our tower camera, heavy rain and whipping wind are not an issue right now. Let's go right to Kevin Gregory with a look at what we are looking at this hour. Kevin.
And the good news, severe weather threat has come to an end. We'll see rain and thunderstorms that are mainly to the south diminish there as well, and the temperatures will stay steady. As far as the severe thunderstorm watch, it's confined now to the Ohio River and south. The showers and thunderstorms, at least any threat for severe weather out of our area. Still some decent rain. Bloomington, Sullivan, Seymour. As you come to the north, the rain diminishes, and maybe you're still seeing lightning, but that too will start to fade away. Temperatures there in the upper 60s to around 70. They'll be steady through the overnight, and bye-bye, slowly but surely, rain comes to an end as we go overnight. Additional thunderstorms. We'll talk about the possibility of that over the next several days coming up.
He's on bond for court, and this can go up to 2 years, but he's still at home. I can't go get my son. I can't never see my son.
Siobhan Mathis, the mother of Dorian Morrell, who was killed during a night of downtown rioting back in May, wants answers after her son's suspected murderer bonded out of jail today. Siobhan says she's expected to give a victim statement in court, but she says that she didn't have that option. Now she's talking to RTV6's Cornelius Hawker, hoping it helps to get her son justice.
I have been calling the prosecutor for 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Siobhan Mathis tells me she kept calling because she wanted to be sure she knew everything that was going on with the case. The man accused of killing her son, Dorian Morrell, was up for bond.
From my knowledge, most murder cases don't get bond. They can go to the court for bond hearings, but they normally don't get approved for them.
The suspected murderer, Tyler Newby, bonded out of jail, $25,000 given to the clerk.
He said he felt like my son was going to punch him in the face, but my son never touched him one time, and he shot my son, and my son died behind that. And I don't see how they feel like it's fair for him to get a bond.
Dorian Morrell was killed on May 31st during protesting in downtown Indy. And while Siobhan wants justice for his murder, she also wants people to remember more about him than how he died.
He was just an awesome young man. He was into sports, and he was happy, and he had a beautiful smile, and he knew how to make everybody in the room laugh. He has a child on the way. His child will never, ever meet him.
Siobhan hopes the decision made today is not an indicator of how the eventual trial is going to turn out.
I want justice to be served, and I want it to be done the right way. I don't want violence. I don't want to seek revenge. I just want justice.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Well, we reached out to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office to get some more information on this particular case, but we have yet to hear back. As soon as we do, we will follow up.
Fighting racial injustice and systemic racism are issues Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett discussed in his State of the City address tonight.
It's not enough to acknowledge systemic racism. You don't get a participation ribbon in the fight against injustice. What we need in Indianapolis is a process of healing that is not implemented but lived, both in public and in private. Lived especially by white residents in positions of power, like myself.
When it comes to making those changes, Mayor Hogsett cited an independent review panel appointed to assess the city's response to protests earlier this summer, as well as changes to IMPD's use of force policy and to the department's addition of body cameras. When it comes to economic changes, the mayor announced an update to city policy to promote working with more minority-owned businesses and city contracts. Of course, the address also focused on the economic impact of the pandemic.
I'll begin by stating the obvious. COVID-19 has had a crippling impact on the lives of Indianapolis residents. It will no doubt bring fiscal challenges to our desks in the coming years. But we can take some comfort in knowing that Indianapolis and this council has spent the past 4 years putting our fiscal house in order. We are better prepared than the city has been in a generation.
The address helps kick off the 2021 budget season. The final budget passage is expected in October. And the mayor's nearly $1.3 billion balanced budget proposal calls for $472 million in public safety spending, $276 million for criminal justice, and more than $158 million for roads, bridges, sidewalks, and trails. For more info, click on this story on our website at theindychannel.com. And Mayor Hogsett and Public Health Director Virginia Kane will speak tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning to give an update on Marion County's response to the pandemic. Look for live coverage on our website and a follow-up on the news at noon.
A decision on the fate of fall sports in the Big Ten, including football, is expected to be made at 10:30 tomorrow morning. That's according to the latest from ESPN. The network is now reporting that presidents of universities in the conference are considering pushing the start of the season back to late September or postponing until the spring. IU coach Tom Allen talked today in support of keeping his team on the field as scheduled.
You know, for me, a lot of our guys have put out about wanting to play, and because I know they want to play, and our coaches want to play, so we support them in that as always. But no, it's not been. I haven't had a bunch of guys reach out to me about it. I mean, I think they've showed that by how focused they are every day and how hard they've worked, and amidst very difficult circumstances, they continue to just do what we ask them to do, and we've been very, very specific about, what do you do to mitigate the risks involved when you have a situation like this.
IU and Purdue both continued practices today. Football has already been postponed at Ball State, Indiana State, Butler, and several other Indiana colleges and universities.
New at 11, parents and community members made their voices heard tonight at a school board meeting in Avon. Avon Community Schools held its regularly scheduled meeting one day before students at the high school will move to e-learning for the rest of the month. There are 5 confirmed cases of COVID-19 at Avon High School, 9 total across the district. Dozens of people attended tonight's meeting. Many were critical of how the district was handling the start of the year.
Closing one school here and there is the logistics of those of us that are at home. How are we supposed to be able to plan our lives and our careers when we don't know from one week to the next if we need to plan for our kids to be at home or in school?
It needs to be what is best for our community. We need to be listening to our health officials, but we equally need to be listening to the parents and the neighbors and these students who are directly impacted by this. I ask you to stand up, to listen to what I am saying and to what all of my peers have been saying. We do not feel safe in the current situation.
Administrators say they are reviewing and finalizing options for a hybrid approach at Avon High School so there are fewer students in the building at one time. Earlier today, officials declined to confirm how many students and staff had to quarantine as a result of the positive cases.
The Regions Chief Institute is tracking specific COVID-19 patient demographics across Indiana. That includes hospitalizations by age and sex. According to the Institute, 40 kids aged 4 and younger have been treated for the virus at hospitals as of Friday afternoon. 82 patients have been between ages 5 and 19, and 460 patients have been between ages 20 and 29. There have been nearly 75,000 positive COVID-19 cases across Indiana since the start of the pandemic. The positivity rate between July 28th and August 3rd was 7.5%. 2,838 people have died from the virus across the state.
Nationwide, at least 163,000 people have died from COVID-19. ABC's Romina Puga has the latest on the state of the virus across the country.
With over 163,000 lives now lost in the U.S. to COVID-19, Dr. Deborah Birx alerting governors that there's significant mortality, primarily from Texas, Florida, and California. Those 3 states account for about 50% of all the mortality we're seeing. And with more than 5 million confirmed cases across the country, ABC's David Muir pressed Dr. Anthony Fauci on President Trump's claim that the virus is going away.
But at 50, 60, 70,000 cases a day, it's not disappearing at the moment.
All you've got to do is look at the data, David. The virus is telling us what it can and will do if we don't confront it properly.
Meantime, the number of children infected is growing. An American Academy of Pediatrics report says 380,000 children have tested positive, nearly 100,000 of those in the last 2 weeks of July. This just as schools get underway. Across Florida, thousands of students are back in the classroom. Masks are encouraged, but not required.
We're encouraging, if possible, the face-to-face because we know that that's the best that our children can receive.
Some teachers are suing the state.
We've been reckless with bars and beaches and restaurants, and we simply cannot be reckless with our public schools.
The return to the classroom is a difficult decision for parents. In rural Wisconsin, this protest for in-person learning.
I'm really concerned about the kids that are just trying to learn how to read. They either don't have internet access because we are in such a rural environment, or they just don't have the family structure that they need to be safe and to really learn anything.
And that was Romina Puga reporting. Tonight we know more about President Trump's executive order to protect people from evictions. The executive action does not explicitly provide funds to help homeowners and renters. It says the Department of Health and Human Services and the CDC should consider whether halting evictions could slow the spread of COVID-19. Indiana's statewide moratorium on evictions expires on Friday. As we told you last week, that does not mean your landlord can legally threaten to kick you out immediately. Go to theindychannel.com for rental assistance resources.
You find a way to live for something that's bigger than you, and you realize through interactions, you have a real impact on people's lives.
Connecting people to fresh and healthy food has become an even bigger issue because of the pandemic. How the community is working together to help feed neighbors in need.
A playoffs preview in the bubble tonight. The Pacers get an up-close look at their likely first-round opponent. Brad Brown has a recap of tonight's action coming up.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
The Pacers got some serious attention after defeating the LA Lakers on Saturday night. 4 wins out of 5 bubble games. Tonight, a chance to take on the team that will probably be their opening playoff opponent. RTV6's Brad Brown has a recap tonight.
The Pacers in Miami started the night with identical records and are almost sure to meet in the first round of the playoffs. Tonight's tune-up had Domantas Sabonis tuning in from the virtual seats and saw a slow start from the Pacers. They scored just 9 points in the first 10 minutes. T.J. McConnell hit a couple of shots late in the quarter. Indiana trailed by just 4 at the break. T.J. Warren continued to lead the scoring effort, had a dozen in the first half, 3 here to cut the margin to 1, but was held scoreless after halftime, his lowest output of the bubble. Victor Oladipo hit a triple with a minute to go in the second to give the Pacers their first lead. The game was tied 48-all at halftime. Miami really put the game away with a huge third quarter. Jimmy Butler back after missing a couple of games due to injury. A 37-23 margin for the Heat opened up a 14-point lead with 12 minutes to go. In the fourth, the Pacers were unable to mount a comeback. Miami ended up with 7 players scoring in double figures, 114-92 when it was all done. The Heat got hot on Monday night.
I thought they did a good job of containing us. But, this is NBA basketball. We've seen it. I've talked about it all season long. You have to win matchups when you have them. And tonight we didn't win those. They play well together. They're well coached. They do a great job spacing the floor. They do a great job getting to their spots. They know what they want to run. They execute really well. They defend really well. So they play well as a team.
We just got to always stay connected. Like I said before, they're a well-coached team. They play hard. They swing the ball. They made shots tonight, and we didn't make shots. It's part of the game, so just got to get ready for the next one.
The Pacers will face the Heat again on Friday. That game will decide the pairings for the first round in the East. Next up, though, the Pacers face the Houston Rockets. That game is on Wednesday. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Kevin Gregory joins us now with a look at the weather. And Kevin, it was a little crazy earlier this evening, and it was so humid and hot today that you could feel that storm coming. But
the humidity, converted into this. Look at some of these heavy rainfall amounts. We had over 3 inches of rain northeast portion of Johnson County. This is 24-hour rainfall total. Remember, some of you had the round of storms this morning. Then we all had the round of storms during the evening hours. Here are all the storm reports. Most of these damaging wind, which led to the widespread power outages. I want to show you this whole thing started, though, back at about noon. Now the showers and isolated thunderstorms are down along the Ohio River. But let's back this up to around noon. What starts in Iowa, crosses Illinois, eventually into central Indiana, and now all the way to the southeast, which we call a derecho, long, standing, widespread, significant wind along this over several hours. That's about 12 hours of time there. 91 in Lafayette. It was 93 in Terre Haute. Then thunderstorms hit and the temperature dropped to 70, and we've been around 70 degrees in most locations since then and won't change much through the night tonight. What's the chance of rain tomorrow? Not significant, generally 20%. Could be an isolated shower or thunderstorm. The trend here as we go through the next several days will be these showers and thunderstorms on a daily basis, but I don't think they'll be that widespread. And right now, doesn't look like severe weather is a threat. During the day tomorrow, temperatures work their way back to 85. Not as warm as today in most locations. It will be just as humid. We'll have that mixture of clouds and sunshine through the afternoon hours, and the wind will stay light. As you look at Wednesday forecast, again, 30 to 40% chance for thunderstorms. Temperatures within a degree or two of the mid-80s. That really doesn't change as we go through the entire week. Temperatures on Wednesday from north to south about average for this time of year. Remember, this month we start sliding backwards. We'll see the average highs cooler by the end of the month. Thursday, 85 degrees. That should sound familiar, with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. Certainly, if we connect on a few more opportunities this week, you'll have all of the rain you need for that lawn to really start growing again. Temperatures mid-80s with that slight chance of thunderstorms into the weekend, about a 30% chance. Biggest change from last week, these overnight lows will be consistently upper 60s to around 70, whereas we were able to have at least 3 or 4 mornings last week where temperatures were in the 50s. But there it is, your daily chance for rain with temperatures in the mid-80s. Sleep well tonight, not expecting any additional severe weather.
Looks a little bit more like summer. Thanks, Kevin. The Rebound Indiana is showing you how local organizations are stepping up to help Hoosier families in need. And one group that's working to address food insecurity in the community will soon be ramping up its efforts thanks to the United Way Central Indiana COVID Economic Relief Fund. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum shows how your donations are being put to good use.
Inside Shepherd Community Center, you'll find volunteers and a whole lot of food. Today, ProAct teamed up with them to package 400 boxes of meals that will soon go to families in need. Some will be distributed here, others will be delivered right into vulnerable neighborhoods. That delivery process will soon be a lot easier and quicker, as ProAct plans to use their CSURF funding to renovate this 28-seat passenger bus into a mobile food pantry. They will then use it to continue partnering with organizations like the Shepherd Community Center to help them get food and other resources to those who need it most.
A lot of families can't leave their homes, or they don't have transportation to come to get the resources that they need. And so the purpose of our bus and mobile food pantry program is to take the resources to them.
ProAct founder Darren Slack says they've served more than 5,000 families since the pandemic started back in March. Volunteers say it's rewarding to be able to provide for those in need, and the bus renovation will allow them to help even more families.
You find a way to live for something that's bigger than you, and you realize through interactions you have a real impact on people's lives, and they're able now to impact other people's lives in more positive ways too.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
And ProAct received $35,000 from the CSURF Fund. RTV6 teamed up with the United Way to encourage donations to the initiative. For more info on how ProAct serves the community, go to theindychannel.com.
The pandemic is forcing many people to rethink their career choices. Hiring Hoosiers is connecting you to training opportunities if you're looking to take a different path. The Indiana Apartment Association represents owners and managers of more than 250,000 apartment units statewide. Despite these uncertain times, the association still plans to launch a service technician apprenticeship program. The program combines a variety of classroom education and hands-on training in fields like plumbing, electrical, fair housing, and more. The internships are paid, and the goal is to eventually hire trainees.
Perfect candidate would have a high school education or equivalent. They obviously are not interested maybe in going into college. They like working with their hands. They like doing work of that nature. They like working with people. Our industry is a people industry when you're working with residents all the time. And then somebody looking for an advancement in their career.
Applications are being accepted online right now. The deadline to apply is September 7th, and the program starts on the 14th. For more information, go to hiringhoosiers.com. You can also go to the Hiring Hoosiers website to learn more about the new FedEx jobs in Greenwood. The shipping giant is hiring 1,000 people at a new facility set to open this fall. After a certain amount of time with the company, employees can earn health insurance, paid time off, and tuition reimbursement. Additional benefits include paid parental leave and employee discounts. We'll be right back.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Well, the pandemic is forcing millions of people to continue working from home, but some companies are looking forward to when employees will come back. Scripps reporter Maya Rodriguez shows how smartphone technology and the sound of your voice could play a role in returning to the office.
It sounds like a visit to the doctor's office. But this high-tech checkup doesn't involve a medical professional, but rather an app.
It is a completely objective measure.
David Liu is with Sond Health, the company behind an app called Sond One. It's designed to screen employees at home for potential respiratory ailments like COVID-19, in part through the sound of their voice.
Speaking is one of the most complex physical things that a person can do. Many parts of the body have to come together, including your brain, your lips, your mouth, your lungs, your heart.
Which is where the app comes in. After answering a few symptom-related questions, it prompts a person to say, "ah," for a set amount of time. The app then either clears the person to go into the office or notifies them and their employer something may be amiss.
It's a biomarker like any other that the body produces.
The voice analysis technology has been used before in helping screen people for depression, and several studies done in the US, Australia, and Germany show it may have merit.
And symptoms of disease show up. They will impede or change your ability to speak.
But the app can't specifically detect coronavirus. It can pick up if someone might have a cold, the flu, or even asthma. Still, some companies are signing on.
There's a group of managers who are testing this, on a daily basis right now, just so that we can learn like the ins and outs of it.
Ed McNamara is with the New Jersey-based software company SHI, which has 5,000 employees.
Our culture as a company is one that, is really based in us, being together and collaborating in person.
But COVID-19 put a stop to that because, like millions of others, they're working from home. The company hopes that might change sometime in the fall and that the app could be part of their strategy to come back.
It's one complement of all of the other activities that we're undertaking just to make sure that, when we do come back to the office, it's in the safest possible way.
Safety that could hinge on the sound of your voice. In Washington, D.C., I'm Maya Rodriguez.
The storms are over. The rain isn't quite over yet. You can see that sliding through the southern portion of the state as it pulls away. A slight chance of showers during the day. Tomorrow, once again, not expecting severe weather.
Thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Good night.